Okay, and this is part 5 of the series. And this is one that I didn't write down yet, so I'm speaking first because this is very important to me. And to be honest, at times when I write something that I wrote like a year ago, I wrote a couple of months ago, I don't feel that same type of spirit, so it can be kind of boring to make a video on it or make a talk on it. So for this one, I'm going to speak first and then I'm going to write it because I feel like that would be a little bit better for me. I think you'll get more out of it as well. So Neville spoke a lot about the mental diet in the beginning of his, I guess you want to say, his career in this. And I found the mental diet to be important. I found it to be important, but there were certain things about it that I didn't like because I didn't find that my thinking was that difficult to change. I found my thinking to be very easy to change. It was very simple. I was able to just conjure up a new thought if I really wanted to. I think most people have the ability as well to just conjure up a new thought, but that doesn't necessarily change much. I have found that trying to change my thoughts didn't really work as much as I wanted it to. And what I found was that what I changed it to was called the feeling diet, because I found feeling to be, I've noticed that I was more prone to feeling certain ways about myself consistently that would cause me to think certain things about myself consistently. And I noticed that when I would change how I would feel towards myself or feel about myself, then my thoughts in a natural way would change. And so I almost saw my thoughts as like a follower of my feelings. And I found that the feelings to be more important, that I should diet my feelings if I were to diet something. And I found that the way I feel towards myself to have much more of a profound effect on how I interact in my life and how I interact with people and how I interact with myself. And that would shape. I also noticed that if I changed how I would feel, I would notice new opportunities that would be in the same nature of the feeling that I'm going after would arise in my life. And so I noticed that the feeling about myself, and I say that about myself because I noticed the feeling about myself was very important versus just a general feeling about X, Y, and Z. I noticed the feeling about self to be very, very crucial to one's life. And Neville said it later in his life. I noticed that he changed. He didn't talk much about the mental diet as much. He spoke about it differently. And then he said this. He said, a change in feeling is a change in destiny. And I found that to be more in the lines of what I discovered on my own from studying his work, was that I tried the mental diet and I didn't find it to be as effective as I did the feeling diet. And when he said a change in feeling is a change in destiny, he linked these two together, that one's feeling is connected to one's destiny. Now, I would say that it's a change in feeling about self is a change in destiny. And I think Neville would totally agree with that as well, because that's what he spoke about. He said it simply there, but to add to it, I would say it's a change in feeling of self is a change in one's destiny. Because you need an agent of expression. We are the agents of expression. And what we express comes from us, and we express ourselves. And so we have to change what we feel towards ourselves to have a different expression. And that's why I stress so much about leaving people alone. You don't, as much as you might be bothered by somebody, and trust me, I know, it's not about changing them. It really is about changing you. If you need to be freed from someone, you free yourself from within. You start to feel freed from them. It's not them who's keeping you in that inner bondage. And I said this in a shorts video. I said that man fears metal bars more than mental ones, and we are living in mental bars. We have mental prisons that we're in, and these are feelings. We feel imprisoned. We feel trapped. We feel stuck, and so we are. And what I'm asking you to do is, can you feel after peace and security and freedom and excellence and beauty and greatness? And I'm not trying to just simply flatter you. I'm saying, can you actually feel after that? It's in you. Greatness is not outside of oneself. It's within oneself. It comes from oneself. And so we live in a regressive universe. We live in a world where it's an effect than a cause. And so life has greatness because it's in us. We see it because it's in us first. And so don't think you ever lose greatness. It's in you. You can't lose it. You might forget it. You might forget it and then you forget expressing it, but it's in you. Now, if you can feel beyond your reason, then your feeling has been freed from reason. If you can feel beyond your senses, then your feeling has been freed from the senses. Now, that might sound scary if you actually pursue it, full force. If you decide to go at it and decide to feel beyond your senses, you will feel like you might go mad, but you won't go mad. In fact, you'll start to feel normal because you'll feel after peace naturally, because you will naturally want what's loving, what's good, what's excellent. And it might not be found in the senses, but you'll find it in yourself. And the more you feel after that, the more you'll express that. And there was something that Neville said. He spoke a lot about empathy. And he said, people don't need sympathy. Sympathy doesn't do anything. We must take action. And taking action is to imagine, suppose someone came to you and said that they lost something in their life, and they feel that they can't get it back. You don't write them a sad letter or a text. In our time would be a sad text. You take action. You see them fulfilled in whatever it is they need fulfillment in. That's taking action instead of just giving sympathy. And so he had a different language for empathy, or a different definition for empathy. And empathy also, he said that how many times do we actually feel good when someone does good in life? If someone wins the lottery, we will condemn them. We will say, well, they smoke cigarettes, or they drink alcohol, or they're an alcoholic, or they are X, Y, and Z. Therefore, they shouldn't win the lottery. They don't deserve it. They're a Catholic. They're whatever. They're something, and therefore they can't have it. And then we lose out on something when we do that. What we lose out on is that feeling that we could have felt for them. We could have felt the excitement that they felt for winning. I just put myself in their shoes. And that feeling grows within you. And so when someone tells me good news about themselves, I feel it deeply. I feel it as if I was the one who had that happen to me. And I accept it. And that feeling becomes familiar. It starts to grow. And I change my diet and what I feed myself with my feelings. We have more control than we think we do. Now, we might feel like a victim to our feelings, and a lot of the times we're afraid of our feelings. You might even be afraid of the thing that's happening. Some people aren't even afraid of losing their jobs. They're afraid of the feelings they're going to feel if they do lose their job. And so they're afraid of feelings. But you're the one who gets to decide what you want to feel within, if you give yourself that permission, if you give yourself that power. Feel after power if you don't have it. Whatever it is that you think you don't have, feel after it and you'll see that you do. I don't care what it is. I don't care what time of the day it is. I don't care if it's before bedtime or it's right when you wake up. If you feel after something, you will have it. And that will change the course of the direction of your life, especially if you persist in it. If you persist in a new feeling, imagine one person who felt ungreat their whole life, felt unlistened to, decided to feel listened to, decided to feel great, decided to feel brilliant, decided to do something about it within themselves for a year. They decided to. Now, I'm not saying do this just for a year. You're going to have to do this for the rest of your life because you're going to feel regardless for the rest of your life. You're going to have to feel towards yourself in some way in your life. So you might as well start now to decide to feel after something better than what you're feeling. And I found that the feeling diet, I haven't heard many speak about it as much as I would have liked. I've heard mental diets, but the feeling diets seem to be, and I to be honest, I don't quite like that term. It's a little bit gimmicky, but it makes sense. You want to change the way you feel. Feast upon new ideas, right? Feast upon new feelings. I found the ideas to not be so impactful to me. Maybe one day they will be, but I found feelings to be far more impactful to one's life. I've seen it in people where they're down on their luck and then they decide to feel different, and it's like their back springs up and they're confident again, and they're capable again. They simply believed in the loss. They let something on the outside decide that they don't have something anymore. But it's not true. Your capability doesn't go away. You feel after capability. Feel after it, and you'll find it. What you seek, you will find. And so if I live off of that idea, that premise, then I don't have to feel like I'll never find it. All I have to do is seek for it and I'll find it. Whatever door I knock upon within myself, it will be opened. And so I never have to feel that things are closed within me. Again, you never have to feel like greatness is gone. It doesn't matter about the appearances in this case. We're changing the feelings. And as I said, if you feel beyond your reason, then you freed yourself. You freed your feeling from your reason. You freed the feeling from your senses. And that's what I'm asking you to do. That's what Neville asked me to do. And all of us, he invites us to do this, to go beyond what we know, what we're familiar with in our feelings. And it might seem scary to die to oneself, but you'll see that as William Blake said, it's the greatest thing. Death is the greatest thing to us. We get to actually die to what we have felt our whole lives about ourselves and feel after something new for the rest of our lives if we want to. We decide the time frame on how long we want to feel something. And you can test this. And so tonight, to give you something practical, I tend to feel after peace, something I didn't have much in my life. And so it was something I really wanted. I realized I didn't have to wait for it. And so what I decided to do was feel peaceful. And I feel it as deep as I can. And I realized that it goes away if I allow it to. If I decide to disrupt it, it's me doing it, not peace. Peace is always there. It's always remaining. It's always infinite. And so when you change your feeling, never feel, I used to feel this. I used to feel like I was depleting or I was taking peace, but it's an infinite power. It's infinite. It gives infinite peace. There's not a limit on the peace you can have. There's not a limit on the bliss you could have. There's not a limit here. And so never feel that you're depleting something. Never feel like you're taking too much, I should say. You don't have to be humble about it. You take as much as you want. You set the limitations within you. It's your own inner world. Your inner world's shaped differently than mine. And we might have shaped it through being born into certain conversations and being born into certain environments that taught us how to speak and taught us how to feel. And therefore we stuck with it because it's familiar. But I invite you to change it. Change how you feel about yourself. Don't just do it one time. And you'll see the effects that it'll have on your life because you'll see the effects that it has within you. And then you'll find that the old way of feeling, the old way of thinking will feel foreign to you one day. You'll wonder how in the world you've lived your whole life feeling a certain way about yourself that was so detrimental to you, that didn't service you. And so you'll find that your inner world through this feeling diet, you'll find that you were your own adversary, but you're also your own redeemer. You're the one that you've been waiting for, in a sense. You're the one that you've been waiting. You're the savior that you've been hoping for because you know what you need salvation from. No Caesar knows that. Only you do. And so that's the part 5 of this called Feeling Diet. And I hope that at least invited you to try it, to try to expand your inner reality, to feel after something new. Again, I offer one-on-ones if you are interested in that. Just email me in the description and I'll give you a message telling you all the details about it. But this is what I've learned from Neville over the years. And I listened to a lot of his later stuff because I find it to be more about feeling. It is simply about changing a thought. And he invited me to change about what I feel about myself, and I decided to try it, and I found that to be way more effective than anything else. And so, thank you for listening. I know this will help you. If you try it, you will help yourself with it. Okay, take care.